Okay.
Oh,
I was like, wait a minute. What is happening? My whole world is messed up right now.
You're live.
Oh, wait. Oh,
We're
we're
live.
live.
Leo, count them in.
3.
Give this video a thumbs up. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
Yeah, still your boy Chris. Find me everywhere at CK2K.
Once again, I am Jackie Ray. Follow me everywhere at Shay Ray the Fanatic.
And it's your girl Britt. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson.
So let's just jump right into our first need to know news story. If you are returning from our old stream, this will just be a quick refresher for you. So bear with us. Britt is going to continue on with her thoughts, and I can't wait to hear them. But just so you have the framework of what we're talking about, Dak is still waiting to finalize his deal with the Cowboys. The latest rumor claims that he's asking for somewhere north of $45 million for a 5th year. NFL analyst Chris Sims said, from what I know of this situation, I know some people who are in the know that he's been offered 5 years, $175 million. He wants a 4-year deal. If they do agree to a 5-year deal, they would like a really big number at the end of that 5th year to cover their butts for what the market might be at the position 5 years from now. And I've heard he's asking for somewhere north of $45 million in that 5th year. So this is not a whole lot of this is brand new information. We know that he wants a 4-year deal, and that $45 million for a 5th year could easily be baked in. He could get $25 mil for year 1, $35 mil for years 2 through 4, and then that 5th year would be $45, still $175 million total. But it could also be that he's wanting to get $35 million for years 1 through 4, and then for that 5th year he wants an extra $45 million, meaning he would total $185 million. So it's an extra $2 million per year, which maybe the Cowboys would be willing to work with. But Britt, what are your on these contract negotiations? What do you think's going on? What will happen? Will the Cowboys comply? You are the Cowboys expert, so fill us in.
Okay, so I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit because this is basically a brand new episode. We got cut off earlier. Sorry, guys. I was going in. It is a conspiracy. Like you guys said, people are they don't want my knowledge. They don't want it. But I did kind of go into Le'Veon Bell's contract from the 2018 season. When he was franchise tagged for the 2nd year in a row. He was pissed off about that. It was $14.5 million. He ended up not returning to the team after he had to, which was after the 9th week, and he forfeited his whole entire contract. Following that season, he did not get franchise tagged by the Steelers the following season, and ended up signing with the Jets for a $52 million contract. That first season, 2019, he made about $2 million, and then obviously it's going to be spread out that way. And he has an out, and the team also has an out after the 2021 season. So it even though it is like a 4 or 5 year deal, they have an out based off how he does and his performance and stuff. So I thought that was a telltale story of exactly why Dak Prescott should not try to do this. You have Andy Dalton now as a backup, and that guy's been a starter the majority of his career. So you don't have time to play with the Dallas Cowboys. They have all the juice in their pocket. I think it's best that they're giving you a good deal. If it was like a crappy deal, like we were talking about that, 7-year, $18 million deal that Scottie Pippen had signed, and it was like this horrible deal. It's not that kind of deal. This is a good deal, and I get Dak's agent is trying to think of ahead after the 2022 season when the new TV contract is done with the NFL, and obviously that's going to be a super lucrative contract. And so at that point, salaries and contracts and the league minimum and stuff and league maximum are all going to go up. I get that, but at this point in time, you haven't won any Super Bowls, you haven't even been to any conference championships, so you haven't won a divisional champion, nothing. So at this point, Dak Prescott, it's a really good deal. Sign the deal. You want to get, as most NFL players do, the bulk of their contract and the bulk of their money at the beginning of their contracts anyway, because you can get injured. There's so many things that can happen with football. It's not as secure, and those contracts aren't secure like NFL or NBA money or MLB money is. Like those contracts, they might say, whatever is guaranteed or whatever. But if you end up getting hurt tomorrow, you don't get the money, as proven with Antonio Brown's situation. He had guaranteed money in his contracts that he did not get because he had started acting a fool, and they just decided to void that. So guaranteed money does not mean guaranteed money. This contract allows for 106 million guaranteed. You'll get, 30 spread, whatever, throughout. If I would say, give me the 45 million up front, give me that at the beginning of my contract, and then you can give me 25 mil at the end. But I think it would be silly for him to not sign this deal. He needs to get it done. He has till July to figure it out, or if not, the Cowboys will franchise him for one season. And like with Le'Veon Bell, the reason why he didn't do so well, because there was another player that swooped up in him and ended up being great. So you don't want to have, I always say never let a freshman take your spot, even though Andy Dalton is a veteran quarterback. Like, you don't want to have your second guy come in and take your spot, because honestly, what happened? Tony Romo, he lost his job to Dak Prescott, because of an injury. So you don't want that same thing to happen to you. So I think you take the money. It's great money. It's a great deal. And you play for my Cowboys and you win us some games, Dak Prescott.
Okay,
you said games and not Super Bowl. You said games and not Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
All right, you guys, on that note, let's get into this MJ news. So Jason Smith of Fox Sports said that he feels all the comparisons that people are drawing between Michael Jordan and players in the league today are incorrect. He says that today he would be James Harden offensively. So here's his direct quote. Jordan couldn't back defenders down like he used to because help defense is different now, and it would be a little bit tougher. His shooting percentage would go down and he would hit more threes. He would average around 30 to 35 points and they would accomplish the same thing. Well, you say Jordan was able to win more. Scottie Pippen is one of the top 50 players to ever play in the NBA all-time. Give James Harden one of the top 50 players in the NBA all-time to play alongside for the bulk of his career, and tell me what kind of championships James Harden would win. The comparison is pretty easy to make in what they would accomplish and what they would do. Jackie, is this a reach? What are your thoughts on this comparison?
I hate these comparisons, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, it's to me, it's literally like apples and onions. It's a totally different league now than it was then. The league was far more physical. You could get away with beating the hell out of people back then. It's just not the same league. So, I mean, I get the comparison. I get why you want to compare yourself to Mike, or people want to compare certain players to Mike because you want to compare yourself to this type of greatness. I don't even think they have a similar playing style. It's not even close to me. No one had to say, oh, Michael Jordan got good, or he at least started to try to defend people later on in his career. James Harden, it's a totally different person, mindset wise, game wise. I don't like the comparison at all. Yeah, exactly. Beard wise, hair, all that wise, gambling and or stripper wise, it's completely different. So I'm not a fan of this comparison at all. It's definitely a reach.
Okay, so Britt, I saw that you said in the chat that it's a reach. So who do you think that is the best comparison to Jordan in today's NBA? If you don't feel James Harden is an accurate comparison, who is?
Nobody. I'm not comparing anybody to Michael Jordan. And again, it's different leagues. Michael Jordan had won Defensive Player of the Year and NBA MVP at the same time. The only player that was up for both last year was Giannis, so maybe Giannis is close. But I don't even compare their style. They aren't the same player at all. So I don't compare anybody to Michael Jordan, but James Harden, did I miss that Russell Westbrook is also on that roster? Like, who else is not remembering Russell Westbrook? Like, he is him and Scott. Like, I don't understand. Russell Westbrook is a star and was a star of his own team before joining James Harden with the Rockets. So what are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense to me. He has Russell Westbrook, and they're still not the number one team in the Western Conference. So stop.
Chris, I can tell you want to say something, so let it out.
No, I was just surprised that Britt wasn't going to go to her guy. I think the easy answer is definitely Kawhi Leonard, because of everything you just said. I think Kawhi Leonard is the guy that plays the most like Michael Jordan. I feel like Michael Jordan probably would expose a lot more people a little bit more than Kawhi does now. But I think like Kawhi Leonard's game to me is hand in hand with how Michael Jordan plays in today's era, because Kawhi is one of the only people that still goes to the mid range and still kills people in the mid range a lot like Michael Jordan did. But and award wise too, like you're saying, I feel like, injuries aside, low management aside, he's a guy that could compete for Defensive Player of the Year and MVP on the same season if Kawhi was somebody that plays the entire season. Right. So I feel like if we're gonna play that game, to me, Kawhi Leonard is the closest we have right now to Michael Jordan if we're playing that game. Because again, I'm like you two, I hate it too. But yeah.
It's a stupid game. It's a quarantine game for sure.
Right.
Yes. The headline: Chris Clark thinks that Kawhi Leonard is Michael Jordan. Let's move on into another Jordan update. An ex-teammate of MJ says that a lot of The Last Dance was completely fabricated. So you might have noticed that the documentary focused a lot on the Bulls' second big three, meaning MJ, Scottie, and Dennis Rodman. The original three were MJ, Scottie, and Horace Grant. So Grant's now spoken out about the documentary, saying it lacked validity. He claims that it's because it was executive produced by two of Jordan's closest friends, so that means it's biased. He said, quote, "I would say it was entertaining, but we know who was there as teammates that about 90% of it, but it's BS in terms of the realness of it. It wasn't real because a lot of the things he said to some of his teammates, that his teammates went back at him, but all of that was kind of edited out of the documentary, if you even want to call it a documentary." He also said that MJ really was a bully, and a lot of his kind of tough love tactics weren't as well received by the teammates as the documentary made it seem like it was. He also denies being the source for Sam Smith's book. We've talked about that before, I think. Chris, who are you more inclined to believe here, Michael Jordan and The Last Dance or Horace Grant?
Sorry, Horace, man. I know you were great, but come on now. The whole documentary was about Michael. Michael even had to spill some things I'm sure he didn't even want to talk about in this documentary. I'm going to have to side with everything on Michael. Sure, I'm sure there were conversations and things that were not in it, but I guarantee it wasn't to cover up Michael Jordan. It's because it probably just wasn't important enough to be put in the documentary. I think it's that simple. So, I'm going to side with MJ and the camp over there. And they did a good job with the 10-part docuseries.
Yeah, and I think that when you are producing a documentary about yourself, there obviously is going to be some situations that might be skewed just based on the subject of experience. But ultimately, I think that we saw both the good and bad sides of Michael Jordan. Jackie, I want to kind of ask you the same question, but also, do you feel that the documentary is more biased than we even really realized?
I mean, it's definitely more biased than we really realize. But I mean, I tell people that all the time, it's all about who is telling the story, half of the history that's important to me personally. I didn't even learn in high school because people who look like me didn't write the history books. So it's the same thing here. If this is his story, he would be a damn fool if he painted himself in this light where he was literally walking around like Thanos trying to disappear people who didn't act the way he wanted him to. I think he did the documentary. I thought the documentary was great. Number one, if I tell the story of my life, my story is I'm going to give you the nuances of my meanness, but I'm not going to let you know that I just was straight, cussing people out from time to time. It's my story. It's my job to tell it the way that I want it told. If Horace wants to tell his story, he can make his own documentary. I don't think we'll watch it in the same way that we watch Michael Jordan's, but make your own story and quit crying about it. It's silly to me, but I get what he's saying and he's probably right, but it's not his story to tell. So I just don't think this is something we should even be. He shouldn't have said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems a little bitter to me. Anyway, you guys, that wraps up Need to Know News. So, Chris, what's happening in the world of social media?
Yes, it is time for the Post Up with your boy Chris, quarantine edition. That's right, where we're looking into everything going on in social media with some of y'all favorite athletes. And we're starting off with Steph Curry. And this was a great moment, but it's so funny. The only thing I could think about was the story and the times that we talked about it here on this show when Steph Curry was putting together his rim, because in this video, Steph Curry's infamous rim makes an appearance in a cool moment for Steph Curry, because if a lot of people know Steph Curry's game, he's known to do what we call a relocating three, which is, he goes to the hoop, passes somebody else, goes to the spot, gets the ball back and shoots it. And that's exactly what he does in this clip. So check out the video of Steph getting the shot up. There it is, the rim.
Oh, good pass. 3-1 Shoot the J.
So normally in that situation, someone would pass the ball back, but I'm assuming that ball is in somebody else's yard at this point, so that's why he had to have one there placed to pick up and shoot in the rim. But hey, look, just keeping it right here, the rim looks great. Okay, so I don't know why it took Steph 2 days or whatever to make that rim. I think he did a good job, and I'm glad that we're finally getting to see it. Maybe once the camera cut, the rim fell down after the fact, but I don't know. Either way, it was dope to see Steph Curry get that shot up and see him excited. It's just, the little things right now, because that's all we're going to get. So I enjoyed that very much. And something else I enjoyed, you guys know I'm not a crazy Nez Cantor fan. I did enjoy this TikTok by Nez Cantor that was going towards the one and only James Harden that we were just talking about. And you know what? I can sit here and say something funny, but I think the TikTok speaks for itself. So here's Nez Cantor.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
The accuracy. I mean, you could have easily gone the step back route. I get that, but I mean, it's facts. He does all those things just to go to the hoop and get a foul, and then he goes to the free throw line. And that's Cantor's salty, but I mean, is he wrong? Not really. And again, that's not hate. It's just a fact. James Harden is one of the best against the line. I mean, it's facts, but it's put in a funny way. So in this Cantor, you get that W from me. All right, you can have that one. All right. Pettiness aside, all right. Moving on to somebody. God, these all my the whole petty crew. Spencer Dinwiddie, another guy that I'm really petty with, and this time he's trying to cover up some tracks because, as we talked about, I think it was Monday, he did GoFundMe over the weekend to raise $25 million so the fans can pick where he is going to go next season when he's a free agent. And as you see here, didn't do too well. He closed out, like I said on Monday, he closed it out, and that was the most he raised. I think that it was up the entire weekend, and he only raised $1,000. It doesn't matter. It wasn't enough. So right now on Twitter, there's this meme going around where it's 2020 or it's my plan versus and then 2020, and it's hilarious. And Not Sports Center dropped this one where it was my plans, and it was for Spencer Dinwiddie to raise $25 million, and 2020 was him only raising $1,000. Now Spencer Dinwiddie tried to backtrack a little bit, talking about LMAO. This is funny. 2K to charity in 2 days is a success, though. First of all, you didn't get the full 2K. Don't round. That's too much rounding up. I don't know what you learned in math, but that is not 1.5. That's 1.1. So you round down. So you only made $1,000. Okay. Second of all of a sudden it's for charity because last I checked, you were trying to get all this $25 million for yourself. So then you could. There was nothing told us that this was going to be going to charity, nothing like that. And thirdly, you cut it down because nobody was donating to the GoFundMe. Stop trying to play us, Spencer. Stop. Okay, now that's just my opinion, maybe a little salty, but I'm gonna bring it over to my panel. So I'm gonna start with you, Britt. Okay, do you think that Spencer Dinwiddie was the whole time he was going to end up playing this thing to charity, and that he's not backtracking here, or is Spencer Dinwiddie taking the L in this situation?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, anytime somebody's trying to do something for you, you gotta give them some love. Like that's always a good thing, and I don't want to diss that. It's unfortunate he didn't raise that much.
But you think he was initially trying to give to charity the whole time? Like the $25 million?
Yeah, I don't think he's really going to pocket that money. I don't think that. I just don't think he's that kind of guy. I've never gotten that energy from him. I don't personally know him, so I wouldn't know. But I don't think he would ever have said he was going to really pocket that money and then sign with whatever team. People voted for him to sign with. I don't think that was going to happen. I think it was always intentions going to some kind of charity or whatever. And obviously, if he would have mentioned that at the beginning, maybe more people would have donated. But I think it was 100% good fun. And he obviously was just going to donate it at some point, I think. I just don't see him as that kind of guy.
Right. And you know what, Britt's probably right. And again, just me with my petty coming out, she's probably right. But Jackie, do you think that all in all, whether it is going to charity or not, for him to put that whole front up, trying to be funny, and then only raise $1,000, is he taking the L on this one, or you agree with Britt that at least he got something and it's going to charity?
My first thought is that's a huge L. Because you can get that from a single donor. You got that from crowdfunding. That's embarrassing.
You can do it himself.
Right. You could have just wrote that check. You didn't need to do this embarrassing fundraising thing. But I had to ask the chat because I didn't know that on GoFundMe, if you didn't meet your number, that you could still keep the money. But they're saying, yeah, you can. I didn't know that. So I've learned something today because I just thought that this was going to be one of those things where everybody was going to get their money back.
No,
and be like, oh.
Mr. Nets fan that donated the $69 calling the Knicks big poopy butts or whatever, he does not get his $69 back, and serves you right. Okay. But yeah, look, Spencer Dinwiddie, go ahead. He tried to twist it. I'm not buying it, but yeah, I'm with Britt on this one. As funny as I'm trying to be, I don't think that even if he did make it $25 million, I don't think he would have pocketed it. I think it would have gone somewhere anyways. But you didn't, Spence. You didn't. Joke fell flat. And speaking of jokes falling flat, this one did not, because Shaquille O'Neal, we've talked about some clapbacks that were so far on this show. This one by Shaq is by far top tier, grade A, best clapback, because Shaq just always had to bring somebody's mama into it, but I'm going too far into the future because Bleacher Report posted a picture of him getting posters on everybody, and which led to this guy to respond to Bleacher Report saying the only thing that could stop him was the free throw line. And Shaq responded so perfectly, saying, "Free throws didn't stop me in the finals. Ask your mama, I left her tickets."
I thought Shaq was going to be in Leo's apartment. I was like, wait, what?
Look, he dropped the fucking pose and everything. I'm with it.
We got a special surprise, guys. That is Leo, right? Let's talk about the
Leo. But yeah, free throws didn't stop me in the finals. Ask your mama, I left her tickets. And I think that is top tier. Best. That's a great clapback. That's like you. Knowledge did not respond, as you'd expect. I'm sure he's going to respond with like a laughing emoji because that's all he got. Laugh to keep from crying. But great clapback. But also, guys, I have a confession to make. I hate to do this here on this show, but I have a new favorite football player, and it might upset a few of you guys. Tom Brady is officially my favorite football player in the entire NFL.
What?
I know.
This is made up.
I know. I'm sorry.
WTF,
This is made full.
Cutting you off right now.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I know.
This is made
I know. I'm sorry,
Leo,
guys.
pop
But
back
look,
up in Chris's place. Where's Leo? Take her to
Leo,
place.
come back in the show.
Jackie, you might have to join me because look, if people know me, my favorite team is still the Saints. That's not changing.
Yes.
But look, I love any slander that goes, especially to the Atlanta Falcons. And we were just talking about the My Plan versus 2020 memes. This meme was posted up by, I think this was ESPN or SportsCenter. One of them posted this tweet right here of their My Plan versus 2020. If we can get that up. Yes, it was My Plans, and it's the Falcons thinking they're winning championship, but 2020 was actually the Patriots winning championship. But what makes Tom Brady my favorite player was the fact that he saw this and he reacted to it. And he didn't just do like he dropped the Jordan gif of him watching the game. I'm sorry. Look, this wouldn't have been the same if he was a Patriot. He's in the division now, so I still hate your team. I hate the Buccaneers. But look, if we over here laughing about the Falcons together, look, I'm easy. I'm a simple guy. You know what I'm saying? We bash the Falcons. I like you. You're in my corner. So Tom Brady, I'm liking this new version of Tom Brady, and as many times as I've seen this GIF, I still laugh when I saw Tom Brady post that. But yeah,
well,
Chris,
you ain't gonna laugh
I'm always
because that's your Saint.
Right.
All it takes.
You ain't gonna laugh if he does that to your Saints, since y'all play in the same division now.
No, I ain't worried about it. No. I ain't worried about that. Chris, but for right now, we're laughing at the Falcons. We're pointing and laughing at the Falcons.
You're being a little wishy-washy today. First, you always call Ennis Cantor petty. Now he gets the W from
what
you.
Am I doing, right?
And now you give it to what's happening with this wishy-washy thing today? I don't like it.
Whatever. Look, I will take any opportunity to laugh at the Falcons. And Tom Brady, I thank you for. You're right. I was too nice in this candidate. That's not like me. I apologize. Moving on to that's too far. Like, it's one thing for Tom Brady, but in this candidate, I'm here. Yeah. Anyways, moving on to Patrick Beverley, who is out here trolling? ? I think he is trolling, but I still a little curious about it. But someone dropped a tweet saying that Kerr can't guard anyone. He's a liability, and now is in reaction to the Last Dance this past weekend. And in perfect Patrick Beverley fashion, he took the chance to fire back at one of the people that he loves to guard. He said, "Some would say about Steph." Now, here's my thing. The reason why I'm not sure if this is a troll or if this is just him just stating some facts, because Patrick Beverley is not afraid of the smoke. So if Patrick Beverley meant this to fire at Steph, he would have added Steph, but he didn't add Steph. So I'm kind of I don't know if he's trying to put Kerr in some light by saying that Kerr was Steph Curry good. I don't know. I'm just a little confused that Patrick Beverley didn't add Steph Curry. I feel like that's out of character for Pat Bev. Pat Bev is not afraid of the smoke. So that one threw me for a little bit of a loop there. Because
I see where you're going here. He wasn't talking negative about Steph. He was using that as a positive to Steve Kerr.
Sure, right. That's what I'm saying. Because I feel like if it was a negative with Steph, he would have added Steph. So I don't know. But I mean, we can call for what it is. Maybe it was supposed to be a negative, and maybe he just forgot to add him at this time. But either way, Patrick Beverley ain't afraid of nobody. And I love that about Patrick Beverley from now until forever. So keep talking your talk, Pat Bev. Moving on to a Boston Celtic. Again, someone I don't really have too much hate for. So maybe I am being soft in today's episode. I'm sorry. It's Wednesday. We're going through internet problems. I don't know what's going on. But Jalen Brown is out here training like Rocky Balboa with his 78-year-old grandpa. Now, to say that, his grandpa's 78, it's all well and good. But the thing is, the history with what his grandpa went through is insane. This man sparred with Muhammad Ali. So look, if your 78-year-old grandpa is going to sit out there on a box workout, but before that, they were, they had to do their home workouts or work out at gyms. Or if you had hookups with your high school coach from back in the day, you can go in there and stuff like that. But Jalen Brown said that throughout this quarantine, he was working out with his grandpa and he was putting him through some boxing type workouts and old school workouts, and it was very different. He said this quote, "He has me doing a lot of things I've never done before. It's the old way of training. Everything he does is kind of a throwback, but it's good. He's never been stagnant, and I got that from him." So, I mean, shout out to Grandpa on that one. That's pretty dope. I mean, for a man, you spar with Muhammad Ali. Right? Look, I would take that with with a huge smile. Like, you want me to run across all of Boston? All right, we doing it, Grandpa. Whatever you say, I'm listening to you. You got it. But yeah, that's pretty dope. Good for him. Watch Jalen Brown come back and still get hated on, even though he's having a good season. And last but not least, a football player I was a fan of, Chad Johnson, is out here just being great as he normally does. He's we heard that a lot of the states across the United States are starting to lift slightly. They're lifting the restrictions on restaurants and stuff like that, and some people are able to go to restaurants, of course, still practicing social distancing because throughout this whole pandemic, we've just been resulting in delivery and pickup. Well, Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson, whichever one you want to call him, he went to a restaurant and he gave a pretty big tip. You can see he only spent $37, or he only bought $37 worth of food, but he dropped a $1,000 tip. It's funny because he left some periods out. So when I saw that initially, I'm like, yo, that's a very, very big tip. And again, I'm not no math major, but you got your you got your little apostrophe in the wrong spot, but it's okay. But it was 1,000. He just left out the period. But he dropped a note saying, "Congrats on reopening. Sorry about the pandemic. Hope this helps." And he put, "I love you" in parentheses. Not sure if this is the place that he's going to regularly, but I love that. I was a little thrown back because me and him have a very similar signature, so I don't want anybody coming at me talking about that I'm out here forging Charles Johnson autographs. We just got similar signatures, I guess, but this is a dope gesture from him. He's a guy that's done similar stuff like this in the past, so this is nothing new for him. And I respect that. It's pretty dope. But yeah, that's just Chad being Chad. Glad to talk about him. This is a very soft post, though, guys. I don't know what to do about what's going on. What happened here today? I don't know.
So in the chat, I started a rumor that you have been taken from the Space Jam aliens. So this is not the real Chris Clark. This is an alien in the body of Chris Clark. We're trying to figure out now where the real Chris Clark was sent, but it's a whole thing going on in the chat right now. So it's not
all right.
Chris. Sorry.
That's
Too soft Wednesday.
I'll come back correct tomorrow. You're right. I apologize. I don't know.
I'm cutting you off now, Chris. So take that softness.
Oh, God.
Jackie, we need the sass. We need some of your opinion right now for what Chris lacked. So take it away for WTF.
All right, you guys, the WTF really is Chris and these two soft Wednesdays. But aside from that, let's get into because this one is an easy WTF. But this morning, an unnamed NFL player and an unidentified man filed a lawsuit against United Airlines. Bleacher Report received a letter from the attorney filing the lawsuit, which stems from a February 10th incident where two men tried to notify a flight attendant about harassment, but the flight attendants did nothing. The first paragraph of the letter say, "We bring this suit with the hopes that it will be the last of its kind. Our wish would be that in the future, no passengers, multiple warnings and complaints to flight attendants and the onboard authority figures will go unheeded until it's too late and the damage has been done." So this is troubling to me for a lot of reasons. I was actually talking to a friend of mine about it this morning. And the alleged complaints obviously are from a female passenger. And so to me, this is one of those, it's a sad situation because if this had been an NFL person harassing a female, Me Too would have been all over it. But sadly, I think men, when they are sexually harassed, it's kind of downplayed a little bit, especially when it's coming from another female. But another perspective that a friend of mine had, because I was like, why is he unnamed? Because this is the perfect time to use your platform, to use your name and say, look, men suffer from this too. This is not okay. And then a friend of mine brought up a point, which I'm not saying I agree with, but it is a valid point. He's like, well, the other passenger is unnamed as well. So what if they are in a relationship with each other and they're not ready for that to be known? And I'm like, I get it, because then I went on another chat and there's like 40 other people saying the same thing. That is the dumbest thing in the world to me, because your gender, your sexual orientation, your income, none of that should matter if you are being sexually harassed and you are asking for help. You should be able to receive the help. So this is just troubling to me because he has to be unnamed for whatever reason. And these flight attendants didn't act on his behalf when he was being harassed by a woman. So Chris, please don't go soft on me, Chris, but as our only male on the panel, if you are being sexually harassed by a female in any setting, on a plane, at work, wherever, how would you handle it? Would you feel like that's something you're not going to kind of reach out to an authority figure and say, hey, I need help with this situation just because you're a man? Damn. How would you handle this?
I think whoever came out and said this, I think they're probably stronger than I would be, because I think because of the situation, because I feel like it's one of those things where, like you said, I don't know how seriously it would be taken. And, you know, we have that guys are stupid, and I'm probably one of them, to have that stigma where, you know, you say something and then guys are like, really? You that bothered you? You didn't like that? Like, you know, kind of thing. So it's kind of hard for a guy to come out and say something. And to be completely honest, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would say something. I think that's the reason why the player that did come out and say something was unnamed, because he's in the NFL and he's afraid that if his name comes out, he doesn't know how the reaction might be towards him, because he's an NFL player and then he might be considered CK soft. So I don't know how that's going to be looked at. So, but yeah, to be completely honest, I don't know if I would speak out and say something about it. I think I would just have to suck it up because of that stigma, stupidly enough.
Yeah, see, and I hate that. I think it should be harassment is harassment, no matter who receives it, male or female. And it just bothers me that just because he's a guy, he might feel like it's not okay to say anything. That just bothers me. But
well, it could be quick. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Britt.
It could be that he doesn't know if he's ever done something that was inappropriate, because if he lists his name in it and then another girl comes out saying, well, when we were in high school, he looked at my dress way or whatever, like, you know, like maybe because of he doesn't know himself, maybe he doesn't want to say anything in order to get backlash from somebody else.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why he might not want to say anything. I think that, Britt, though, is the best reason, because if you got dirt in your closet, don't say anything. But if you think it's just because you're a male, or maybe you have this situation with this other guy that you don't want, that's the worst reason to not say anything. But yeah, the dirt, I'll co-sign on that one. That's the only one that makes sense. For this next one, I swear to gosh, if it wasn't for copyright, I would have Leo play that Luda move. get out the way for this Alex Bergman, because you guys remember Alex, right? Because Alex is the one who gave us the worst fake apology known to man for the Astros cheating scandal. And now he is acting like a straight business. He is pissed off because LeBron James and his production company have decided to create a documentary. We know that documentaries are becoming a thing now, thanks to Last Dance. And so he's decided to create a documentary about this cheating scandal. It's supposed to be called Sign Language, because, you know, the scandal is about signs. And so Alex decides to say that he is offended and he feels betrayed that Clutch Sports, which is the agency he was on, has allowed LeBron James and his production company to move forward with something like this. I love how he said allowed. That's hilarious to me. But he has decided to move on from Clutch Sports because of this. And he's also saying that, you know, that's not the only reason that he's leaving. He was also frustrated with his agent on how he guided him through his cheating mess. And so he didn't like that. So now he's parted ways with Clutch Sports, which I think this is hilarious. But Devin, what do you think? Does he have a point, or is he just crying a giant business river?
So I think he's being a little sensitive. I mean, okay, if I'm putting myself in his shoes, I might not be thrilled that they're creating a documentary out of a cheating scandal my team was a part of. But also I think that this would have been a great opportunity for him to have a little bit of say, maybe sway the storyline a little bit so that it's in his favor a bit more, because he's part of the agency. So I think he should have stuck it out. But I honestly, this might be the unpopular opinion. I can see why he'd want to leave after that.
So really? Because to me, it's like, if you wasn't caught up in it, like, I don't know, man up, put your big boy draws on. You got in this mess, just ride with it. You know what I mean? And to your point, now this is you could use the documentary as a way to say, yes, yay or nay, I did it, but I didn't mean to. I was caught. You could totally make someone else a scapegoat and say, hey, they talked me into it. I had nothing to do with it. I felt forced into it. But now you're just going to be a straight punk in the situation? I got nothing for this man. Like nothing at all. I think
go ahead. Should have stuck around so that I think he should have stuck around so that he could have had some influence over that storyline, like I was saying. But like, if you're in that position, I think you'd probably be like, I want to distance myself from the company, from this documentary. But it probably would have been a good chance for him to, like, change things a little bit so that he came off better.
Oh, see, Chris, the softness is wearing off. Devin's got it now. But let's go ahead and warm up those vocal cords, Chris. You ready?
Yes,
It is time. There it is, man up. Okay, so it is time for Brit's Takes.
Brit's Takes.
That was good. Thanks, guys. Hopefully this one I don't get cut off like I did earlier in preview. But I'm going to be talking actually about the situation yesterday with Richard Sherman calling out Governor Gavin Newsom for announcing California sports can resume back the first week of June. I didn't get to talk on that point yesterday, so here I am today to talk about it. So Richard Sherman, if you know, you can watch the episode again or check out his Twitter. He went on a rant on social media about it being about money and not for the health of the players. Overall, most of you guys kind of agreed that you guys thought Gavin Newsom was doing it for the money and not for the players. But I want to clear a couple of things, as that's what I like to do on Brit's Takes. The leagues and the players union are actually the ones that are 100% responsible for when and how the games are played, not the governor of California. So the governor of California, regardless of what he wants for the state of California, like, the league still decide the players have to play games. They just are going to play them in places where they can play. So whether it's on some island, or Arizona announced recently that they are allowing games and stuff to be, but like, regardless of the fact that Gavin Newsom opened up like California for played without fans, that doesn't matter to the leagues at all, because the players are still going to have to play if the league says they're playing, period, point blank. Like, whether they're playing in California or elsewhere, it doesn't matter. So why not open them in California, especially considering I also did some research on stuff that isn't sports related, but in this case it is. Since May 6th, the numbers in California have been declining. And in comparison, and this is in comparison to the test given out. So obviously prior to that in April and then in March as well, like the biggest issue was there aren't tests, and so the only people that have symptoms are getting tested. So there was a small portion of the population that was able to get tested, and of that population, a large number was resulting in positive test results. Well, now anyone can get a test. I actually just, to see how easy it was, I just booked it this morning to get tested at 4 o'clock today. So I'm getting tested today and literally I looked at every time slot for today. There's literally hundreds and hundreds in just this one location I'm going to where people can get tested, and you do not have to have symptoms anymore. California has got to a point where anybody at any point can go and do a drive-up test and they're good. They could day of. Like, it is very easy to do it. You just go online, literally fill out a couple of things, and then schedule your appointment. And it's on the hour wherever you drive up, do your little swab yourself, and then put it in the little class. So because of that, a lot of people now are getting tested, and the numbers are, compared to the percentage of the people getting tested, are way lower. So that is why Gavin Newsom said the first week of June, because of 6th and it dropping since then. Again, it's not great, but it's dropping in a percentage thing. Consider people getting tested and the percentage of people that are positive with it. That is a number. So that is why he decided to open it. And he said in the exact yesterday that Richard Sherman was arguing that he said pending on if it continues to be like this in the next couple of weeks. So he's not just going to open the games and stuff to players, or open the stadiums or whatever for players to play in California if the numbers don't consistently or go like they have been. So like, he's not just doing it just for money or whatever it is. And Richard Sherman, you're going to play regardless of what the governor, because if the NFL and NFLPA decide and agree upon you guys playing, you guys are going to play. And which brings me to my next point here. The NFL, I don't know, it's so weird that I've been saying the NFL is doing the right thing amongst all the league this time, because I can't stand Roger Goodell. But the NFL announced earlier this week that they have been testing face masks for all the players that are 85 approved. So the players will be wearing face masks come season if this pandemic continues at that point, once season is supposed to start at the end of September. They have already been testing them out. They already have stuff. And so, you know how you see players wearing the shields with the eye guards and then whatever their normal mask? Well, that is going to be part of their helmet. The N95 mask is supposed to be a part of the helmet now that the players would wear while they're playing football, which is like, to me, the most common sense thing. We have literally talked about, oh, let's quarantine all the players on islands and let's have the players do this. Why have we never mentioned the most common sense situation in this whole thing is to make all the players wear face masks? Like, when NBA players break their nose, you see them wearing the whole face guard on their face for the next season in order so they get hit in the face or break their nose. It's like, there's literally, when they have an arm sleeve on or their leg things on, everything to protect, but the common sense thing in this whole thing, players wear masks, and nobody has talked about that but the NFL. But that is what the NFL said. They have been testing the last couple weeks. They had just announced it on Monday. That is most likely what they're going to be doing come season if worse this pandemic at that time. So my question to you, Chris, is what do you think about this mask option, and why has it taken so long for somebody to come up with that idea? To me, it seems like a pretty easy fix for all the leagues.
Yeah, it's crazy that no one's coming with that idea. I mean, we were seeing like the Korean baseball league, like they're playing baseball and they were wearing the masks for some of those games earlier on. So yeah, for them, when you have a whole helmet already covering your face, you easily just got to put one on. I think that's brilliant. But to answer your question, why it took so long, that is a great question, because I have no idea. They have the mouth guards just the same, so why not just put the face mask? A lot of these players, like we've said several times on the show, other than the quarterback, a lot of these players wear gloves anyway. So I feel like, I mean, that's probably the easiest fix. And I don't understand why they're coming up with it now and then trying. I don't know. Good idea though. It's a brilliant idea. I like it.
Jackie, real quick, do you have any thoughts on this idea? And do you think it works across the board?
You know, I said that on my podcast. I said that on my podcast this week. I said that if it was up to me, games that I would automatically do is MLB and NFL, because I said they're pretty protected anyway. It seems like it'd be easy to throw a mask up there. So the fact that they're actually doing that is good to hear. I'm not going to absolve the NFL though, because just because they got this one little thing right. But I do think though people having fear and concerns about coming back, I think it's a natural fear. I think it makes sense, especially if you read any of the medical journals that we might have a second wave. So, but you know me, I've been saying like we got to get back to some normalcy. How we living right now is crazy, and so I wouldn't want to be a governor right now, because you'll get people who are backlashing at you because you're trying to. Regardless, at some point we would have to move forward. Forward progress is a thing. It has to happen. And right. So, and to have those people who are kind of gun shy, like, oh my God, and especially people who have had, unfortunately, lost anyone from this thing, I would imagine they are like, hell no, this shouldn't be a thing. But like I said, we have to move forward, and he just shouldn't be in a situation where he feels like we got to keep the gates closed until nobody ever tests positive again. That's not a thing. Coronavirus has actually been around for a very long time, so it's gonna always be around. So yeah, I'm down for the forward progress, but I understand the fear. I'm not trying to take away from people's fear. Yeah, but I'm definitely down for forward progress.
Richard Sherman, I usually 90% of the time, 100. Almost time agree with him. Like, he's a very, very smart guy, like graduated top of his class, insanely. Like, I'm usually on his side of the trail. But in this one thing, I think he was too quick to blame everything on the governors just going after money instead of looking at, well, we have had a decline in this, and the NFL is working on stuff. So actually, for me as a football player, maybe this isn't as difficult as I'm making it sound at this time. So I just wanted to make sure like that side of the story was actually explained as well.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Britt. Loved hearing that. You guys, we're going to be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you tune in. As always, do not forget to subscribe, tap the bell, give this video a comment below about what you think about all the stories. Wash your hands. All right, you guys, see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Bye.